You know what God has called you to do. You have felt it, prayed about it, thought about it, maybe even made notes about it. And yet, it is still sitting there, waiting. Today we are talking about the gap between knowing and doing, and what God's Word says about closing it. Welcome back to SOAR with God. I'm Andrea, and today we step into the A of the SOAR method. Activate your plan. This is the point where faith gets practical, where the shift in your mindset and the courage to face your challenges now ask something of you. A decision, a step, a plan, a date on the calendar. This is where many people stall, not because they do not believe, but because they do not move. James 2:17 says, "Faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead." James does not soften that. He does not say faith without action is struggling. He says it is dead. That is strong language, and it matters because James is writing to people who do believe, people with real faith, real intention, real desire, but no movement. And that can happen so easily. There is a very comfortable place people of faith can live in, the place of perpetual preparation, praying for clarity, waiting for the right time, getting ready to get ready. And none of those things are wrong in themselves. Prayer is right. Preparation is wise. Waiting on God can be necessary. But here is the question. At what point does waiting become hiding? At what point does "I'm not ready yet" become a way of protecting yourself from the risk of actually moving? I had to face that question myself. After I was passed over for a promotion I had worked hard toward, I spent time praying. I spent time processing. I let God shift my mindset. And then came the moment when it was clear it was time to move. Enroll in the program, make the call, build the schedule, start. Not when everything was perfect, not when all the answers were there. Now, that is what activation looks like. It is not one dramatic moment. It is a series of faithful, practical decisions made in the direction of what God has called you to do. For me, it looked like mapping out what was realistically possible. A full-time global role, a master's program, caregiving for my mother. I created a schedule, not a perfect one, a real one. I figured out where I needed help. I made the calls. I broke the goal into smaller steps that I could actually move on. That is activation. It is not glamorous. It is obedience in the ordinary. And I want to say something clearly here. Planning is not the opposite of faith. Planning is faith with a calendar. When you make the plan, set the deadline, and take the next step, you are not doubting God. You are stewarding what He placed in your hands. That is the A in the SOAR method. Not reckless movement, not endless waiting, activated, purposeful, faith-fueled motion. So here is your SOAR moment for this week. Write down the one thing God has been calling you toward that you have not yet moved on. Be specific. Then identify the single next step. Not the whole plan, just the next step. Send the email, make the call, register, schedule it. Then put that step on your calendar with a real date. Not soon, a date. Because faith has legs, and it is time to use them. If this spoke to you today, subscribe. New videos come out every week to help your faith work in real life. I'm Andrea. I'll see you in the next video. Keep soaring with God.